Hi there, everyone. Just letting everyone in. Good afternoon or morning, wherever you are. Okay. Hi, everyone. So just while we're waiting for people to join, if you just say hello in the chat box and perhaps let everybody know where you're from, that would be great. It's always good to find out where you are. Okay, great. Nice international group today. Yeah, we've got people from Saudi Arabia, Croatia, Spain, India, Kuwait, the UK, South Africa. We're ticking all the continents, which is great. Okay. Fabulous. Okay, just to let you know that this session is going to be recorded, just so that you know. Okay, someone from Morocco. Hello, hi there. Okay, so I'm here in the UK. I'm Jo from SLC, and we are a UK-based company that teach online, based in Brighton. Did anyone go to Bethan's session last week? She did a couple of live sessions. Anybody go to those as well? Yeah, lots of yeses. Great. Great. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get started because we've only got half an hour. So I'll explain a few things. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at Listening A, tips and strategies. Okay. So you should all be able to see my screen. Just to let you know, as I said before, this session is being recorded and will be put on YouTube at a date after the session. Okay. So this is our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to it. I think the link's in the chat now. There's loads of great videos on our YouTube channel that will help you with your OET preparation. So do check it out and subscribe because we're posting videos every single week. So just a little bit of how to use Zoom today. So you've got the question and answer, polls and chat function. So for chat, we'll be using that to complete a few tasks. So I might ask you some questions and I'd like you to write in the chat. There will be a poll today. So here it will be some questions and you need to choose your options and then click on submit. And there's also the question and answer function. This will be used for questions that we'll answer at the end of the session. So there'll be about 5 minutes at the end where we'll try and answer as many of your questions. So if you think of anything during the session, please put it in the question and answer box and we'll take a look at them later. All right. Don't forget that our next live lesson is on Thursday. That's 1 p.m. UK time, and that's with Bethan, and it's how to approach OET speaking. So make sure that you don't miss that one. So today we're going to be looking at Listening A, tips and strategies. So we'll look at challenges of Listening A, the strategies you can use, and ideas for self-study. And we'll be doing a few mini extracts from some OET papers. So as many of you probably know, there's 3 parts in the OET listening, and today we'll be looking at Listening A, which is 2 patient-led dialogues and a gap fill. So first of all, I'm going to launch a poll to find out what you know about OET Listening A. So I've just launched the poll. There are 4 questions. If you could choose the correct answer for each of the 4 questions, just click on the option that you think is correct. Okay, I'll give you a minute or so to do that now. Okay, there's 4 questions in total, so it might take a while. Okay, just another minute. Okay, so quite a mix, but I think most of you have got the right answer. So let's just take a little look. So most of you said once, most of you said 30 seconds, and most of you said exactly what the patient says. So let's take a look at the answers together. So the first one, you hear the consultations only once. It's like in real life, and I guess that's why they do it, yeah, because you don't get a second chance sometimes to hear things. So unfortunately, it's not 2 or 3 times. Before your lesson, you only have 30 seconds to read, so it's not a lot of time. So that's for each extract. So 30 seconds to read quickly. 90 seconds is for listening C. You need to write exactly what the patient says. Okay, so don't paraphrase them, and you're usually reporting what the patient says, not what the healthcare professional says. All right. And this one, your spelling has to be perfect. It doesn't. You can make minor spelling errors. Okay, so if you write a double T and it should be 1 T, that's probably okay. However, things you need to be careful of are things like plural nouns. If you put a plural and it's singular, or you put it singular and it's plural, that changes the meaning. And so you might not get the answer correct. So do be careful of that. Okay, so we'll just do a brief look at what you can expect from listening part A. I know some of you probably already know this if you've been studying for OET for a while, but it's 2 conversations, about 15 minutes in total. Each conversation's 5 minutes, so it includes pauses. 24 questions, 12 for each extract, and it's gap fill. So you just fill in some gaps with a word or a short phrase. The context will always be provided. So for example, here, the context is it's a consultation with a GP, and it's about a patient who's returning for her blood test results. Now, you might hear a consultation with any of the 12 professions that are available on OET. So it could be with a pharmacist, occupational therapist, or a dietitian. Or often it's with a doctor specialist, so it might be with a cardiologist, or it might be with a neurologist, for example. Okay, and so this is an extract from some listening A notes. So you've always got information provided under headings, like this in bold, and you've always got information provided. And it's based on information that the healthcare professional would usually record in a consultation. So it might be information on medication, on symptoms, and things like that. So what is difficult about listening A? So those of you who've done some practice of listening A, I'd just like you to type in the chat, what do you find difficult about listening A? So in the chat box, please. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, getting lots of similar answers. Yeah, lots of people talking about the speed and the accent. Absolutely. Okay, so there's quite a few things that I think are challenging and that my students have found challenging. Let's have a little look at what the challenges are on the next slide. So there's not a long time to read the notes before you listen. 30 seconds is not a long time to read, so you have to go quickly. Patient speak. So what I mean by this is language that a patient would use. So it's quite informal. There might be some phrasal verbs in there and things like that. Keeping your place. So many of you talked about it going really, really fast. So what happens if you get lost? You know, it's quite difficult to find your place without panicking. What else? Paraphrasing. So the words might not be exactly the same as what's in the notes. So often what is said is quite informal language, but the notes might be quite medical and professional language. So I think, you know, listening out for the paraphrasing is difficult. Accent, as many of you said, it could be an accent from any English speaking country and also regional. So you often hear speakers from the south of England or the north of England, and they have very different accents. You only get to hear it once. So if you miss it, you miss it. The speed of the speaker, so they normally talk at a natural speed, so they're not going to be speaking slowly, okay, it's in order to mimic what real life is like. And of course, unknown vocabulary. If you don't know the vocabulary or the word that they're saying, you know, it's going to be very difficult to write it. And I think spell it as well, particularly if it's something to do with one of the other professions. Okay. So what are the strategies for listening A? So again, I'd just like you to pop in the chat anything that you do to help you with listening A. So what strategies do you use for listening A? Absolutely. Great. These are all fantastic ideas. Great. Great. So let's just recap on what they are. So the recommended strategies for listening A. So first things you need to do is have a look at the notes before you listen. So you don't have an awful lot of time, so you have to do this quite quickly. So always notice the headings and any information that's already been provided, because that's going to give you an indication of what you're listening for. So here you're listening for, you know, reasons for taking blood pressure medication and specific side effects. So you know kind of what kind of words you're going to be listening for. Yeah. These are also going to help you keep up with the conversation and not get lost. So very important that you read through these quickly. Some of you talked about prediction. So predicting what kind of information you're going to hear or which will complete the notes. Okay, so if we have a little look at this one, so we've got reason for the conversation. So we've got patient asking for advice about medication. And then we've got gave patient Ramipril last week. So we need to, as we're reading through, very quickly think, what kind of word's going to go here? What answer am I going to listen for? So here, it's obviously going to be the person who gave the patient Ramipril, probably their doctor or something like that. So, you know, you're listening out for that. In number 14, it says reasons for taking blood pressure medication, rising steadily. So we need to listen for something that's rising steadily. We can probably guess what it is, but we need to listen to confirm. So it's going to be a noun, something that's been rising steadily. Okay, so you have to do this quite quickly. You don't have time to pause on each one. So this is what takes a bit of practice. So let's have a little listen to this context. I'm just going to make sure my sound's shared. Great. Okay, so have a little listen and see if you can find the words for number 13 and 14. All right, let's go.
I was wondering if you could give me some advice about these tablets that the GP gave me last week. I'm not sure that I should be taking them.
Right. What tablets are you taking?
I've got the box here. They're called Ramipril. Is that how you say it?
That's right. Do you know why the GP put you on Ramipril?
Yes, my blood pressure has been climbing steadily. The GP tried to talk to me about some lifestyle changes. You know, getting my weight down and becoming a bit more active.
Okay, so goes quite quickly, so you need to be ready. I can see some people putting the answers in the chat box. Yeah, let's just check what they are.
I was wondering.
Here they are. So the first one is GP. Let's look at why it's right. So obviously GP and the link. How do we know it was the right answer? There's links. So gave patient Ramipril last week. Those are the key words there. And that links to exactly what the patient says there. If we look at question 14, it was indeed blood pressure, and we've got the link here. It says rising steadily, and that's paraphrased here as climbing steadily. Okay. So let's put that into a bit of practice. This is one for you. Have a little think. What kind of word do you think is going in each of these spaces? Remember, we're talking about side effects, so that should give you an indication. So have a little think for a quick couple of seconds, and we'll have another listen. Okay, so the patient is feeling so it's probably going to be how are they feeling? Yeah, some sort of adjective, maybe a symptom. And then we've got headache for the past 2 days. So this could be any type of word, but it's maybe an adjective, frequency, I don't know, some sort of description of the headache. So let's take a listen and see if you can get the answers to those 2 questions. All right, let's have a look or a listen.
Now I'm not sure about these blood pressure pills at all. I haven't felt well at all since I started on them. I'm a bit worried about taking them in case I'm allergic to them.
Can you tell me a bit about what's happening? How do the tablets make you feel?
After I started taking them a few days ago, when I was started on them, I started feeling dizzy. That's very unusual for me.
Any other symptoms?
I'm not sure if it's anything to do with the tablets, but I've had a headache on and off for the past 2 days.
Okay, well, these are actually very common side effects for this particular medication.
Okay, so I can see lots of you popping them in the chat. Yeah, great. So let's have a look at the answers. So it's dizzy and on and off. So, you know, how did you get to that answer? And if you missed that answer, have a little look at the transcripts and notice, you know, what did you miss? So we really need to pay attention to the language that indicates that the answer is coming up. Yeah, so obviously we've got the question that the pharmacist says, you know, how do the tablets make you feel? That tells you that the answer to question 18 is probably about to happen. Okay, so dizzy. And you've also got what the patient says, yeah? After taking Ramipril, after I started taking them. So it's these links that you really need to listen out for to tell you that the answer is coming up. We've also got on and off, any other symptoms, and then he says, sorry, I've had a headache on and off for the past 2 days. And just notice how it's connected when he speaks. Yeah, it's on, he doesn't say on and off, it's on and off. So when you're doing your OET practice, if you notice any words being linked together like this, make a note of it. Okay, so this is good training for your ear. Okay. Right. So the last thing is, how do you keep your place in listening? Part A. It's quite tricky, but there are a few things that are there to help you, or some things that you can do to help keep your place. So here is an extract from another Listening A. So the things to pay attention to are the headings. Okay, so here we know the order of the consultation due to the headings. We've got past gynecological history, current pain symptoms, summary of symptoms. So we know that it's going to come up in this order and we're prepared, and that helps us keep our place. Also use the information already given, yeah, because if you get lost, you can use that information to find your place again. Yeah. And I think the other thing to be careful of is be ready for any gaps that come close together. So here there are a couple of times where there's one gap directly followed by another gap, and you need to be ready because you've got to write one and then write another. So you've got to practice writing quickly while you listen at the same time. Okay. So let's just have a little look. Skim read quickly before you listen. Okay, you don't have time to analyze every single line in detail, but I think, as some of you mentioned, as a strategy, it's a good idea to underline keywords, for example. So if we look at current pain symptoms and summary of symptoms, I've just underlined, or I've highlighted them here, some of the key words. So here, used to be, now. So you listen out for links to those keywords. So you're writing down how the pain used to be and how the pain is now. Yeah, and similarly in summary of symptoms, you've got these keywords here: worsening, sharp, and dragging. Okay, so paying attention to those can help you keep your place, and listen out for links to them in the audio. So we'll do a little bit of practice. I'm just going to be quiet for a minute while you have a quick read. While you have a quick read through these notes, and then we're going to listen to the extract, and I want you to write the answers to 2, 3, 4, and 5. So very quickly, 10 seconds to read through the extract, and then we'll listen. Okay, let's listen.
I see. Could you tell me what the pain's like now?
Well, before I used to get a bit of cramping with the odd sharp pain. During the last few periods, I've been getting the most excruciating pain, a stabbing pain like a knife going into my insides. I still get the cramping pain as well, only worse than before. Sometimes I get shooting pains down the back of my legs as well, a bit like an electric shock.
What about back pain?
Yes, I sometimes get a dragging pain in my lower back. It's more of an ache, really, a heavy feeling.
Okay, and if you don't know or miss the answer, I think at the end it's always good to make a guess. You never know. Let's have a quick look at the answers. So here we've got cramping, then stabbing, shooting, and dragging pain. Okay. So let's have a little look with the transcript, and we'll have a look at how we got to those answers. What was the key there? So we've got, before I used to get a bit of cramping. So that's there. I used to get, yeah. During the last few periods, suggesting recently or now, I've been getting the most excruciating pain, a stabbing pain, like a knife. Then there was the link to the information already given here. So it said, I still get the cramping, only worse than before. So increased severity of initial pain. And then sometimes I get shooting pains down the back of my legs. And then the link to the final question here was the question that the gynecologist asked. What about back pain? The answer to question 5 is coming up. And it's, I sometimes get a dragging pain in my lower back. So anytime you do OET Listening A practice or any listening practice, it's always a good idea to listen again with the transcript. Yeah, find out why you got an answer wrong, and also use it for vocabulary. Here we've got great examples of different types of pain, so you can use it, and that will help with your OET speaking, reading, and perhaps even writing. Okay, so how can you improve for, or how can you prepare for listening A? One thing that's quite good to do is research vocabulary relating to the 12 professions, because you could hear a consultation that's not to do with nursing or medicine, which you might be familiar with. So for example, optometry, words and phrases to do with eyes, dentistry, podiatry could come up, many more. You can have a look at the OET website for which are the 12 professions, and yeah, notice common conditions and symptoms and how to spell them so that you're prepared. We have a course available called Reach OETB. We've got a nursing version and a medicine version. This is really good for listening. In the listening section, particularly the medical listening skills and listening A, this can really help you improve listening A. There's lots of activities on the different healthcare professionals as well, lots of vocabulary. So for example, here you can see vocabulary related to eyes, which will be very useful if you have a consultation with an optometrist. Matthew Smith's YouTube channel is always good. These are role plays. You can listen and make notes on patient speak. It's good natural speech. It's a variety of accents as well, which you need to practice listening for. A couple of television programs, 24 hours in A&E, GPs behind closed doors. There might be extracts on YouTube available, or if you're in the UK, you can get them on the online streaming services. And I think listen to consultations and make notes on what's discussed. Then make notes of details and any patient-friendly language. So things like cut down on, keep me up at night, things like that are going to be very useful for listening A, and of course, speaking as well. So top tips for listening A, make sure you use the headings and the information provided to decide what to listen for and help keep your place. Predict the kind of information that you're going to listen to, and use role play consultations to practice for part A. And when you finish the practice paper, don't just throw it away. Listen again with the transcript. It's really a valuable resource. Okay. So we have a little bit of time for some questions. So if you do have any questions, can you write them in the Q&A box rather than in the chat box, please? So any questions, we'll see if we can answer them. We've got a few minutes. Okay. Okay, we've got a question here about, does it make a difference if we write a stabbing pain or just stabbing pain? So generally things like articles are, you can write them or you don't need to. So I think you get the point if you wrote a stabbing or stabbing pain. Okay. What else have we got? What about spelling mistakes, especially medications? I think as long as it's understandable, it should be okay. So if you have one letter, if you write maybe an E instead of an I, that might be okay, but it's got to be recognizable. Okay. Or if you write a double T instead of one T, I think in that context, it would be okay. What else? Can we write or underline the words on the text? Absolutely. You're not allowed to take highlighters into the exam with you, but you can underline things, and I encourage you to do so. Not everything, because it might get confusing. Yeah. Okay. Do you get an earphone or speaker? You need to check with the place where you're taking the exam. Most places, they don't provide headphones. I think only if you're taking it on a computer do you get headphones. So I encourage you to practice without headphones when you're doing any preparation, because you want to get used to sort of having a little bit of background noise. There might be paper shuffling or people coughing, for example. Okay. Where can I learn medical terms with patient speak? So this is something you can do by doing our course Reach OETB, for example. The link will be in the chat, or listening to listening A with the transcript. That will give you indications of patient speak. Okay. Also got a question. Can we write Instead of dizzy, can we write dizziness? No, you should take the, make sure that you're writing the same word as what the speaker says. So don't change it. If he said, I feel dizzy versus I feel dizziness, you probably get the answer wrong. Yeah. A few people asking how many correct answers to get a B score. Unfortunately, nobody has the answer to this. OET don't release this information. Okay. Each exam paper is different and perhaps slightly different level of difficulty. Okay, but you want to be getting at least 70–75% for the whole paper to be confident that you're ready to take the exam, we would say. Okay. All right. We are out of time, so just have a couple of things. Don't forget the session on Thursday, 1 o'clock UK time. So do be sure to change it according to where you are. And it's Bethan on how to approach OET speaking. So it's going to be a great session there. Also, just to remind you, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're always posting tips and strategies videos. We've also got things on our website. We've got Reach OETB Nursing and Medicine for self-study. This is a great digital resource for you. We have a couple of other things that we offer as well. So writing correction service, where we correct your letter for you and give you some tips, or you might want to do our practice test where you do the practice paper and receive your scores at the end. Okay. All right, everybody, thank you very much for your time and attending today. We hope you found it useful, and I'll see you next week, and Bethan will see you on Thursday. Bye, everyone. Take care.